Welcome back to another episode of the Man Café, the podcast with the community where we talk with our invaders. Today we are doing episode 5 of season 2, and I'm joined by none other than Felicificity, who is a well-renowned PS4 player and content creator, most well known for popularizing pick and poker. Fel, thank you for joining me today.
And thank you so much, Dash, for having me. This was in the works for a while, and I'm really happy it's finally coming to fruition.
Aye, it's good to see you. Let's pick you up. Yeah, let's just go for character names here.
There we go.
I like to see.
I deliberated a little bit on this one. I had a different idea for this build initially, but yeah, I settled on the name that you'll see shortly, hopefully.
Will of the Wood seems like a very Book of Matches style name.
Yeah, I decided to try to pay a little bit homage. I'm working right now on a different mage character that is going to be a more explicit reference to their most recent video, which was excellent, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it.
Now, time to showcase some new tech.
Oh my God, I literally just saw this. Oh, that's amazing. Do I have that? Is it Crepus's vial?
Yep, there it is.
Incredible.
Finally, we can roleplay as rats. All right, Fel. So, as we'd like to normally do on the podcast, how did you get into Souls? Or, in fact, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am a longtime Souls fan, not as long as some people. I got started in 2016 with Dark
Ew.
Souls 1. But
2016 or
I
disgusting.
know.
Oh, you came in when it was popular.
I know. Filthy. It's part of the reason I probably ended up making a YouTube channel is because there was a YouTube scene when I joined.
Oh Lord, we got a moonlight.
Oh shit behind me. Oh God, spooked me into the grab. That new spook into grab tech. Ooh, don't die. Ooh. Let me set up some glint blades real quick.
Baba, please.
I'll gladly be your Bubba, sir. Oh, that was a bad trade.
But we are gankers, so we survive by huddling together
Yeah.
for warmth.
What's a little warming sound between two friends?
Yeah, nobody needs to know. Booty eater, my dear. Excuse me.
That's amazing.
I didn't realize I had blues on. All right, so you got in 2016 with Dark Souls 1. So that 2016, that was after Bloodborne came out and DS2 came out. In
That's
fact,
true, yeah.
DS3 had just came out, but it wasn't like big.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was certainly the biggest launch up to that point for the series, but well, maybe Bloodborne. I don't know. Bloodborne was a launch title, so maybe it had that advantage going for it. But yeah, no, I joined when Dark Souls 3 was a thing, but I didn't even know anything about Dark Souls 3. I was a Dark Souls 1 kid. I started in 2016. I've always been that kind of person who likes to play games in sequential order because I feel like I'm going to miss something if I do them out of order. So yeah, I started with Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, I can respect that. But what specifically got you into Dark Souls 1? Did like a friend introduce
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah. That's a good question. Yeah, I had a friend, a lifelong friend of mine that I met in middle school. He recommended Dark Souls highly. I also saw people talking about it on the internet. Obviously, Dark Souls being maybe one of the most talked about games online, for good reason. Um, but yeah, so he recommended it highly, and I just so happened in 2016 to get a PS3 handed down from a family friend. Um, just a random gift I never expected, and I just saw that as a golden opportunity um, to like finally play this game I've heard so much about. I mean, I hadn't heard that many details, but I heard very many good things, and so it worked out. I fell in love pretty much instantly. It's really something different from the things I used to play. Like I used to play Super Smash Brothers, and I played a few RPGs like Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, I never played a game like it, and it was really something else.
Oh shit!
Oof, shit.
And you
These
left me
guys are
with the
no joke.
invader too.
Uh,
Why
Bad
fell?
Bubba.
Bad Bubba
0 out of 10,
indeed.
Bubba.
Would
If this were Demon Souls and you could give me ratings after I leave your world, I would be in the shit.
oh yes, you would.
I kind of miss that system, to be honest. I think that was kind of charming.
Yeah, I even liked the DS1 system where with invaders you could just like rate them by using one of your indictments.
Yeah. My sign is back down at the Grace. If you
Right.
ever have a chance to pick it back up.
No, what do you mean? I'm gonna die in a second. I'm alone with an invader?
With an invader and omens and do they have friendly fire with invaders? I don't remember.
Not omens, no.
Oof, that is rough. Of all the enemies to not give friendly fire to.
No, 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 no. I'm a fat rolling Bubba. I'm a fat rolling Kevin.
No.
Leave me be.
I'm getting summoned. Something's happening.
Oh, he's got no HP.
Ooh,
No, 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 Phil. You got
I
iframes.
have the exact I have the exact right call here. Gonna smoke the room out with Night Maiden's Mist, so he has to leave. GG's.
Bubba.
Whew. Tough, tough call. That was no joke.
I'm gonna have to taunt his tongue for him, you know.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
know.
matter of
He'll be back.
respect. So we're gonna be dying a lot for that. We could have survived, but no. All right, so Dark Souls 1. So a lot of people like get in for like just the aesthetic or the storytelling. What was the selling point for you?
Oh, it was the full package. The aesthetics, like never really played another sort of really immersive dark fantasy game. I think the closest I ever got was playing Zelda, but Zelda has its own sort of unique atmosphere that's not really Dark Souls. So this playing Dark Souls was really my first exposure to a dark fantasy setting in a game, and it is transfixing, and how detailed and uh, I don't know. It's like it's gritty, but still has a sense and atmosphere of the fantastic. Um,
Phil?
that's everything's grand and oh, do we have the invader here? oh, oh, they do have friendly fire. All right,
I did not know.
there we go.
Oh, that was mean. Ooh, that looks very cinematic.
Okay, pop the tier, got the storm stomp, and there we go.
Bubba, no!
uh, that was so close. I had them one hit from death, but the storm stomp came in. Oof. Storm Stomp Claymore. Dirty. Dirty, dirty.
Storm Stomp's Claymore. I'm okay with that. But the fact that I'm fat rolling,
uh,
he's just gonna fish me.
damn it.
He swapped over to a Nagakiba to finish me off.
Ah, Nagakiba. I have some choice words about Nagakiba, let me tell you.
Nope. If I'm going out, I'm going with spam. No! GTB.
The full Kevin cosplay. You have to go out with spam.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of went off track there. Uh,
Yeah, so Dark Souls 1, it was like it was the atmosphere, it was the aesthetics, but the also I found a lot of I found myself very interested in the story as well. I think there's some mystique about the way that it's told in Dark Souls 1. You know, you're told about basically the foundational gods of the land, and the the era that you're trying to preserve, but over time, that the way that plays out in the game with you taking these discrete steps towards about proving yourself and building yourself up to becoming a lord, but not so much in an explicit way until you meet Frampt. Up until you meet Frampt, it's basically like you have to find meaning in what you're doing without much external guidance. And even then, after you meet Frampt, you don't always know if you can trust what he's saying, which I thought was very interesting.
You see, I started before Dark Souls 1. I started off with Demon Souls. But for me,
Yeah.
before Dark Souls 1 was out, we had a game on PC called Myst. And Myst, you had to choose between two brothers in a red book or a blue book. And at the end of the game, you find out that both of them are actually just shitty. So you have to actually find the father who's in this green book. And so you have to find his page. So you could go like four different
Really?
endings. So you go and return these pages to the blue book and you get trapped in the blue book and the brother goes free and he starts like burning shit down and destroying your book, so you're stuck there forever. The
Jeez.
brother in the red book, who's more fucked up, and he's going to start ripping apart the book as soon as when you're gone, so you're stuck in there forever. You go and free the father, but you didn't pick up the father's page, so you're both stuck in there together. And then finally you free the father and he burns both of his son's books, but you can get off the island.
That sounds really interesting. I actually didn't know much about Myst. I've obviously heard of it, but I never played it myself. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really cool game, and it gave that whole sense of like narrative that you couldn't really like trust anything. The second closest game that comes to mind is BioShock, where it's like, oh, would you mind? Would you kindly go down to that lighthouse? Would you kindly go kill
Yeah.
these people for me? Would you kindly go free those big sisters? Would you kindly beat your father's head in with a fucking a golfing what's the word I'm looking here for?
A golf club.
Yeah, a golf club. That's it. So I kind of knew going into Dark Souls that we were going to be seeing this like false narrative, but yeah, the world of Dark Souls just definitely throws most people off because you don't really know who to trust. And even though like Dark Souls was like limited to just what, two endings? No, just it was just one ending,
That was
wasn't
the
it?
two endings.
Yeah, it was two
No,
endings.
it was the yeah, exactly. It's you can link the fire or forsake it, basically.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Bubba!
Ooh, got a lightning slash
Epe.
epee, it looks like.
EpiPen,
Yeah,
yes.
the EpiPen. Ooh, I'm kiting this omen and this invader. Oh my god.
He's got no HP. Quick, Rocks of Fury. Yeah, did you know when you let Rock Sling go off in your left hand, it has like no downward range. So it will just
Really?
continue going.
I did not know that.
Uh-oh.
I'm coming. Take
Uh,
this magma shot. Ooh, I like the R2. Spike. Okay, he jumped down the hole. Have a little respite.
what is this build anyway you're running? It just it looks like a mix between like an Int Faith, yeah?
No, oh yeah, it is kind of in faith. I have the necessary 12 int for roiling magma, but aside from that, it's all int all the time. I do want to make an int faith build. I think those are very interesting. They have an interesting spell layout. Ooh, very nice, very nice. Ooh, I'm out of blue already. Jesus, gotta kill this man. Oh
No!
no! Hey, it's a double kill. We count that.
Uh,
That was a smart play right there.
yeah, I wasn't so smart that I walked off. I fell down the hole. I'm like, it's safe ground. I'll just go get a sneaky kill. No. Okay, so Dark Souls 1, you got into like the storytelling and the lore and on how they give you this full sense of narrative and just like the journey of the Ashen One to like find, sorry, not the Ashen One. Uh
The Chosen Undead,
The
I believe.
Chosen Undead, that's it. The Chosen Undead
Hmm.
in Dark Souls 1. But how did you get into like the PvP? Because you've got probably one of the most distinct playstyles. Like you're quoted in like G9, Pinko, Saint Riot chats. Most of the PvPers know of you. So what like inspired your level of play? What got you into the PvP?
Oh, well, let me tell you, I was not any sort of good for the vast majority of me doing PvP, but I'm trying to remember exactly how I got into it. I think it must have been maybe some old Oro and P videos in Dark Souls 1. Um, yeah, I think that must have been it. There've been a couple of content creators that I followed early on, just because I was curious. I've found a lot of satisfaction in the way that Dark Souls felt to play. Um, it has a certain logic to it, a certain unique feeling to it. That is, ooh, forgot about that guy. Um, yeah, it has a unique feeling to it that's just mechanically satisfying. Um, I remember when I was playing at first, I spent probably 2 hours just practicing killing hollows in Undead Burg. Um, and that sort of translated over to the PvP. I found a mechanical satisfaction in practicing and learning that. Um, but I think when it came to getting into PvP, I think uh, my influences were mostly from Dark Souls 3. I did enjoy a bit of PvP in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, especially Dark Souls 2. I did a lot of the arena back then. Um, and when I played Dark Souls 3, I think that was my big opportunity to learn more than what you'd learn fighting randos on Iron Keep Ridge or uh, in the arena. Um, and that's when I started learning from Saint Riot and Shua Akari. Was a huge influence for me early on. Um, and later on, I discovered other content creators in the space, but those were like my big two initially. Um, and it was just part of it. I got a sense of history from playing, uh, starting to play in Dark Souls 3 and like seeing all the new content creators, but also returning content creators like Oro and Peeve doing videos early on. Obviously, they gave up the game pretty early, but um, that was just it was just interesting being a part of that. Great minds think alike. Um,
So a lot of like the
but
early content creators like really resonated with you.
yeah, exactly. There's something so interesting and fun about the way that people took what Dark Souls 3 gave them and took it in so many different directions. You could be a try-hard invader, you could be a lore master, you could be a lore invader, you could be a duelist of all sorts of duelists. It's casting, melee, all the kind of playstyle variety and variety of approach. I love this no roll hammer thing you got going on here.
Well, I mean, it's
It's
like
intimidating.
it's the heaviest weapon in the game, and with everything else, it just fat roll.
um, but yeah, so I got into invasions that way, and I found it also as a great motivator for making builds, which is something I enjoyed doing a lot, especially back then. Um, it gave me a good excuse to replay Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 3, quickly rose in the ranks as this game that's had this great level of polish without losing, in my opinion, without losing its identity. Um, and yeah, so that was uh, when I really started getting into um, invasions in PvP is Dark Souls 3. And I think it also helped. I think it's people don't acknowledge it enough, but people should definitely be thanking uh, the fact that they had clip sharing, clip recording, and clip sharing built into the PS4. Uh, you know, I think that was a massive part of why uh, people were able to build an online scene and the PvP in these games is um, the accessibility of the format. Oh, geez. Ooh, invaders here. Is that River's Blood?
Yes, it is. It's Nerf though, so I didn't bleed out in one shot.
Yay.
But guess what? He's called Lord of Sweat, so guess what I got? Light roll, baby.
Nice.
Light roll with
Oh,
the
geez.
heaviest weapon in the game. And decent defenses. You'd love to see it. Are you out of Estus?
I am. These fucking omens, I swear to God. I'm going to be the annoying mage in the back and just spam.
Thank you, annoying mage.
Yes.
I had like a fraction of HP. Thank you, Baba.
Amazing. Give me back that juice. Oh, thank Christ.
But yeah, just take a look how disgusting I can make the build. hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on. Literally like the heaviest stuff in the game, and I'm like rolling with it.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Yeah. Oh wait, hang on.
What is your endurance?
Uh, like very close to base. Hang on. Let me. Is this like the heaviest garb I can wear? I think I can wear veterans. I should let you know I've got like 2 minutes before my thing runs off.
Oh, physic.
Yeah.
I understand now. All right. I was wondering how you're accomplishing the light roll on the heaviest stuff in the game. Oh, this invader just backstabbed my backstab attempt. Oof. Ooh, this is rough. This is rough.
Yep, Rivers guy's gonna finish me off. I got an idea though.
Go into the sewers.
To
Go
the
deep.
sewers. Star Scourge, where are ya? I just killed the Sweat Lord.
Nice.
His name, not mine. Oh god. I'm fat rolling now.
No.
No, I'm not even fat rolling. I'm over encumbered. Let's hope he doesn't figure out. Nope.
You got to use the jumps. You can still jump even if you can't roll.
He's got the leaden tier on. No.
Oh no. The ultimate counter. Oh,
He poised through my everything. I was out of nothing.
damn.
Oh, that was fun
Hey,
though.
we got that shortcut. I
Yeah,
guess we can go straight down into
but
the pipe area.
but but that shortcut doesn't get us anything.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's arbitrary, completely arbitrary.
Okay, so with DS3, you started really taking off as a invader. So like I assume you started off in like 2017, maybe 2016.
Yeah, exactly. I started playing Dark Souls 3 in 2017. I think it was late 2017. All the DLC had already been released. I bought the Fire Fades edition. Um, and yeah, I mean, I started practicing in Dark Souls 3. I got my footing at Post Pontiff, just doing random duels at Post Pontiff. And basically, we play the game in co-op as we try to do with all the games that we play. My girlfriend and I, and we every time there was downtime, I would run over to Pontiff, put my red sign down, do a couple duels here and there. We had plenty of fun fighting invaders in that game. You know, aside from the super early areas, which were definitely full of twinks. Dragon Slayer Axe was a popular choice. I assume it still is for the people who are still invading High Wall nowadays. Um, and once I got my footing, that's when I started getting interested in invasion because I think I dabbled very slightly in Dark Souls 1 with the Forest Hunters, but I didn't invade at all with the Red Eye Orb until Dark Souls 3, I think. I was just sort of doing my red signs um, for duels and such. So that's when I started getting into invader culture. That was um, and that's when I really started falling in love with the PvP in the games. I enjoyed the feeling of taking my character into online play, which was something that every game in the series does. Um, but Dark Souls 3 is when invasions really hit the spot. And I guess I'm sort of lucky that my first experience, came after all these patches and all these fixes and the DLC being added because um, there are things I definitely could see frustrating me early on in Dark Souls 3's life. Something that people obviously should be acknowledging that none of these games release in a perfect state. Seeds of Giants were pretty horrific on Dark Souls 3's release.
Oh, what do you
Um,
mean? Going to New Game Plus 7 and hosting High Wall at level 15 with permanent seed of the Tree of Giants? And then occasionally purples coming in to go heal the PvE? That's not your cup of tea?
yeah, I mean, even just hearing about it is like staggering to think about. Um, but yeah, I count my blessings in that respect. I basically experienced Dark Souls 3 in its most polished state because everything like we got no more patches after I played. I played it on the final patch, um, and yeah, it was a great introduction. I obviously found difficulty at first, but with help from people like Saint Riot, I think I learned the basics. Um, and that was really when the love affair began. The thing is, I didn't have a distinct like I didn't have my own distinct play style, I would say, until I really um, started getting into dual wielding. I think dual wielding was when um, I started really appreciating what the combat in Dark Souls 3 lets you do. Um, I'm trying to remember specifically what my first dual wield build was, but I remember one of my earliest Invader builds was an explicit Schwa Akari cosplay with the scythe that infused with dark, and that was a great amount of fun. That was a fantastic introduction to making lore friendly Invader builds. Um, I remember I dabbled with twin axes back before I knew they were busted, um, and all sorts of things. I really fell in love with the game through obsessive replaying and build making. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think it was when I started making content in 2019 that I felt this drive to improve my game, especially because when I started my channel, it was January 2019. I basically gave myself a New Year's resolution saying, I like all these content creators. I like Dark Souls content online. I think that people make really cool, interesting stuff, and I want a piece of it. I want to get involved. So in 2019, I gave myself a New Year's resolution to say, you're going to start a channel and you're going to post random invasions. The series is called My Life in Red, in a cheeky reference to My Life in Pink, um, La Vie en Rose. Um, and that's when things really took off for me. I felt like if I'm going to post stuff online, I want to make it the best that I can do. I want to show off things that I found fun or interesting or like just some good invasions where I did stuff right and things panned out in a cool way. And eventually I did start posting clips of invasions that were a little messier and a little less skilled, but just for the hell of it. But yeah, that's when things really I had to polish my gameplay and learn all the intricacies of the game. Like learning how poise worked was always an interesting mystery to crack. Um, and the ebb and flow of a dual wield build is where I really fell in love with the game. Um, and I think it was when I decided to do that dried. I did a dried finger run that I ended up posting highlights from onto my YouTube channel, where I decided I was making a faith build, and I was like, what am I going to do with a faith build that's going to be interesting? What am I going to do that's going to be worthy of seeing and appreciating? Oh, the invader's here.
Yeah, that was the previous one. I think that backstabbed you earlier.
Ah,
I'm surprised you survived that, honestly.
I'm surprised too. And he's like excuse me, Lady in Black. She is skipping a little bit. I love this character, by the way.
I
This
believe
is a really cool.
they just got desynced, so might as well have a good look at their
Oh,
fashion.
yeah.
Either that or I'm about to get backstabbed for like 900 damage. Yeah,
Yeah, they got desynced.
that
That's
was
that's a
uh
shame.
that was the Invader DC. So that means another Invader's coming in.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that that was a thing.
Hmm. Yeah, so when two invaders get in, sometimes like during the input lag, one of them will kick out the other.
Hmm.
So if I kicked you from the session right now, odds are I would let that other invader in, but fortunately he's stuck in a load screen, he can't exit.
Ooh, yeah, that explains it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, that's one of the sad parts about Elden Ring Online right now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. And obviously, people have been talking about it over the course of Elden Ring's 6 months of life. The state that each of the games were in terms of their online. Um, and one thing that I don't miss from Dark Souls 3 at all, and that is actually kind of funny to look back on, and it says something that we just sort of got used to, summon lag. Uh, it doesn't, as far as I know, it doesn't exist in Elden Ring. I haven't seen it,
Well,
but that was standard in Dark Souls 3.
yeah, someone's got like 8 seconds of invincibility now when they come into the world, so that's perfect for dealing with any type of like summon lag.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean specifically like when you'd see a host basically desync and they would stop animating, but their character would continue walking. You know what I mean? Like that was whenever another person joined their session, basically they would cease to animate, and then at some point you just take a bajillion damage from something. And there are ways to deal with it, of course. Oh God.
Well, I just got a preserving bolus a second ago, so I'm fine. Are you doing okay over there?
Oh no, he slapped me. Whew.
Oh shit, I'm out of FP. Oh shit, this guy's a bleed build.
Oh God. Dual bleed twin blades. That'll do it. And Saint Trina's. Uh, that person slept me in 2 hits. Whew.
It's sometimes like that, yeah. No, I forgot this door doesn't open from this side. GG.
Yeah, this is. I find myself having like struggling to focus on both the game and talking over Discord just because I'm just struggling to stay alive here. This area gave me so much trouble, and it still does to this day. It's so tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of people that come through here have to be like level 80 with plus 15 weapons, definitely.
Hmm.
That's what I tend to recommend for people. And it also means, we get like a nice little niche of 80 invaders that can get good activity here. But
Yeah.
now because of like 1.06, we don't have to worry about any of that.
Yeah, I was wondering when we'd bring that up. God, 1.06.
Yeah. A lot of
Oof.
people have been calling it Wex dust. I prefer to call it crack. How are you enjoying crack, Felicificity? Are you enjoying your
Uh,
crack?
I am enjoying the crack so much. I am unapologetically a crack whore in this specific circumstance. Don't take that out of context, folks. But no, I mean it's staggering to think how big a difference it makes. Because I think people who are familiar with my channel would probably know. I got a message saying failed to join session.
Yeah,
Let me
you
try
just
again.
crashed my game.
Oh my God. Sorry, not sorry. No, I mean 1.06 has been a blessing in so many ways because, like, for those familiar with my channel, I posted a video before Elden Ring's release, talking about how I really don't agree with the decision to remove solo host invasions, and to an extent, I still think that they're very much missed. Just as a part of the game's identity, I think that it's a shame that they're gone. Um, but Wex Dust is exactly the kind of fix that I thought that they should consider if they're going to remove solo host invasions. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing in any game, any online game ever, is activity. Anything to increase activity should come first and foremost before anything else is even considered. And Dark Souls 3 did that very well, the way that the online ecosystem is designed, where hosts are embered when they progress in their game by beating bosses. Invaders can invade embered hosts. Embered hosts can summon help, and blues get summoned to fight reds, and in turn, reds get more Estus for killing blues. Like all the way it all ties together is just so neat, and I think it's probably the biggest reason Dark Souls 3 ever had the online life that it did and the online community that it did. It all ties together in that way. Um, but with crack being added to Elden Ring, uh, it's basically the closest that we're going to get to the thriving online of Dark Souls 3. But in ways, it is better. It's different and better, um, uh, because of the quality of life fix that it introduces. Being able to invade everywhere at once uh, is spectacular. And obviously, people who play on PC already know this, the bliss of crack. Uh, but as a PlayStation player, like I get it. I get it now. It's like everything I could have ever wanted.
Once you
Um,
go and just get hooked on crack, you're never gonna be coming off of it. If they take crack away from us, like the player
uh,
base is dead.
yeah, I'm gonna be very sad if that happens.
Yeah. But yeah, 1.06, 80% of everything that came out of that came from our community, believe it or not.
Yeah, I was actually interested to hear your side of the story there, because I know that we talked about it briefly the other day, but uh, obviously if you signed any sort of NDA or whatever,
Oh no no
like
no!
don't.
I'm not. Everybody is like, "Hey Dash, when's the patch? Hey Dash, when's the patch? Or do you secretly work for From?" No, no, I do not have time to work for From as well.
Yeah. Oh, spit my
Hey,
Nash.
holy shit, he's streaming right now. We're
That's amazing.
we're getting
Oh, I'm gonna
exposed
die.
live. Run, Dash, Dash, Dash.
Don't do it, Nash.
He's gonna do it.
I think he's giving us some respite here.
Thank you, Nash. Love you, homie.
Oof. Oof. Um, did not expect to see Nash. That's funny. Uh,
I'm just gonna give him a oh shit, wrong gesture. No, stuck in the full animation.
no. Ooh. That is some rough damage.
Okay, I'm gonna have to change to something a little bit more meaner for Nash. Is that Stone Digger?
It's a rock blaster. Damn. That's some good damage.
Yes, it is. We're
GD Nash.
GG Nash.
Yeah, I've been trying to mix in some rock blaster for the spice factor.
Oh, I think he's fat rolling now. He is. He's like, oh shit, I see
what a
Dashing is fat rolling. What the fuck is he
that's a
doing?
that's a class act right there.
Yep,
You gotta respect a man who fat rolls to respect fat roll.
just beating him with my fire club now. He probably doesn't even know who you are. He's just like, oh shit, Dashing's just like hosting for me.
Yeah.
Gee, Nash, why are you interrupting our jolly co-op?
I know. Filthy, filthy red.
Yeah.
So I was curious to hear when you were able to pass along any information to FromSoft, because I think Rofo the Germ recently released a video on YouTube talking about how he is confused a bit about the extent to which FromSoft like hears us, because we're talking about how it took 6 months to fix Rivers of Blood, but when they did fix Rivers of Blood, they also added Wex Dust of all things, which is a completely player-driven mod created for Dark Souls 3, late into its life cycle, well after FromSoft stopped patching that game. I was curious to hear when you got involved in trying to like communicate stuff to FromSoft.
Well, a couple of buddies of mine and me uh, took a look at all the footage from the CNT and realized that there was a lot of problems with ER. Mostly,
Hmm.
we quickly noticed that there was an exploit that you could do in order to regen FP, which still is not public knowledge. There's another version of it that's now public knowledge, but the main one that anybody could do
Hmm.
isn't public knowledge yet. So it's like, okay, we gotta let them know. We realized that flask canceling was in the CNT, so we reached out and found a support line where you can like post tickets with
Mm.
Bandai and From, and that's how people used to reach out back during DS3 days. But mostly it was just there to say that From acknowledged it, but they didn't really like take a look at it. Enter Izanarmar, who is, I think I'm saying her name correctly. She is the head of like Western support. She's like the community head for From. So she has been like working with us, as well as the fact that we had, for a time being, some correspondence with the graphics head that worked on ER. Now, we stopped hearing from him, I think it was in April or May. What we think is he had to
Hmm.
sign an NDA because he's working on another game, most likely a Armored Core. So we lost
Ah.
all of our contact with him, but he was basically saying, yeah, at our bi-weekly meetings, we'll go reach out and we'll discuss what we can do. Thank you for taking your time to talk with us. Because my buddy Scott
Hmm.
used to work with Bandai back in the day, so we still had communications with him. That's how we had reached out to them. And now it's just all community tickets. So over the span of like 6 months, we have sent in a grand total of like 180 tickets. Not to mention every time
Wow.
like we hear something like going on in the community where like people are like reaching out, we just like send them a little ping like, hey, community people are putting their grievances here. So when Amir started working on his Elden Ring PvP website along with Gabri, we're like, hey, go check it out. The first Elden Ring tournament, which I sponsored completely, was sent in to From, and that's what helped out get a couple of the general patches in, just in terms of like connectivity and dueling, and buffed ultras because they realized that it was all halberds and like power stance spear, which was insane. So 1.04, about 60% of that came from us, and the rest was just like bug fixes and whatnot. So we've been like on the clock messaging about any type of problems. So do you have a whip on you by any chance on your build?
I don't think so. Let me double check. I don't. No, I'm sorry.
I might have a whip actually. I'll take a look in a moment. Okay, I do not. So currently there's a bug with whips. So if you know me from like DS3, you'll know that there was an exploit where you could have something that I like to call a wrecked whip,
Yeah,
where
yeah, I remember a whip.
because whips came from the code ever since Bloodborne, whips came from the code for threaded cane, you can have them erect. And as it turns out, that code is still present here in Elden Ring, except they made it so that it's no longer accessible by Boglitch.
Really? Okay. So
Instead,
it
instead you have it's only available for a few seconds that it appears, a visual bug, where if you're crouching and walking with any weapon drawn, and then you quickly, as you're walking, swap over to a whip, the whip will get erect.
I'm kind of glad to hear that it's back. Just even in just such a minimal form.
Hmm. That was one of the things that we like caught on. I believe I found out about it when I was doing Enda's podcast. So it's like, okay, so this is a problem. It's not like a big problem, but it's a haha funny thing. So I go in, I get my friend Connor to send me just frame data, see what's going on, and we find out, oh yeah, it's just like taking the crossbow reload animation. So just essentially a copy and paste of DS3 code. That's what's causing this little bug. So I sent a quick little email. Hey, there's this little bug that make whips appear elongated. And From will take a look at that. They will send, okay, this is ticket number 5,280. We thank you for your continued support, and we'll get back to you momentarily. So at launch, we would probably hear back something within 2 weeks. Now, they've got more than enough tickets, mostly because big streamers essentially just copied and pasted stuff to get their entire audiences to just send support tickets. We don't have to go down there.
Okay.
That's just death. So, From was like backed up with all these like patch stuff. So, Izanami, I'm probably just gonna keep on mispronouncing the name because I don't know how she likes it pronounced. She has like reached out to the PvP community, and through like Amir's website, like it's been just awesome having her full support. She wants
That's
to
excellent to hear.
reach out to the team that's still patching ER, and we'll probably work on DLC, hopefully. Just to make sure that everything's just nice and squeaky clean before they leave it, because they've realized how upset people were with DS3, and now with the servers down, everybody's just focused on Elden Ring.
Hmm.
But yeah, I kind of went on a little rant there. I apologize.
No, no. I mean, that's all fascinating. Like, I really enjoyed hearing that because, I mean, to a lot of people who aren't involved at all with the community communication effort to FromSoft, we have no indication whatsoever that they even have heard the communications at all. There's no community manager, which to this day, it seems they have some sort of community spokesperson to talk to about our submitted tickets and whatnot, but we don't have somebody who's going on our online spaces and talking about the what the community would like to see the game become and what needs to be fixed. So we don't have any sort of public dialogue, which I think is why a lot of people are frustrated. Um, I think in a lot of ways, and this is something that I've thought about, and I hadn't really talked about much, but in the late stages of Dark Souls 3 and early 2022 even, there was this narrative that people were building in our online spaces where it's like Elden Ring is going to be our game. This is a game we've been waiting for, and we're going to be at the forefront. We'll be the big names, and we're going to help shape the game into becoming what it could be, which is something truly special, like something unprecedented. Um, and the uh, the this narrative that we were building, you'd see people like G9, for instance, in his video descriptions talking about how you know, he's excited for Elden Ring and talking about how like it's going to be the game we've always wanted, and thinking about our perspective. Then when Elden Ring came out, it was apparent to some people, or that some people took it as this game is not intended for DS3 lifers. Like, we are not the dominant voice. The game became so big, such a worldwide phenomenon, and to an extent that FromSoft had never seen, to the point that we became a minority in a space that we were previously the only voices in. And some people that was alienating. And I think that a lot of the uh, anger and hurt that people were, as Elden Ring's PvP meta was developing, and we saw how broken many things were. Um, there was I feel like a lot of that negative emotion could also be tied to the fact that we are no longer the FromSoft community. We are the remnants of the Souls community that are a pretty small portion of the player base of Elden Ring. Um, and I think part of what exacerbated the issue is when we didn't feel heard as well, is when that anger and frustration and hurt started festering. It's when people started getting really negative about Elden Ring. Is because we were feeling negative about the game and had no way to express it, and felt like we are no longer uh, able to change things in any way. We weren't able to, it wasn't a game for us per se. It was just sort of like, this is a game, and FromSoft has released it, and they're no longer going to listen to us, even though we've been their lifelong fans or whatever. We feel like they should be hearing us. They almost like they owe us something in specific. And I'm not saying that people were just being entitled or whatever, or that's the only way people were criticizing Elden Ring. Oh, there's a person here. I'm dead. Shit, I got pinned up against the wall.
It
Damn.
happens.
Um,
My
but yeah,
dude,
so I think,
I'm fat rolling. If you're gonna
oh,
bully me, just get it over and done with, please.
um, but yeah, I think that's people don't acknowledge sometimes how emotionally invested they get in something like being a PvP lifer and a Souls game, um, only to find that the next release not only is not for us, but basically doesn't seem to be listening to us at all. Like, it feels like there's a space in our lives that's being commanded and taken away by somebody else in a sense. Um, and I think that kind of emotion can be extremely harmful to everybody involved. Not just talking about video games, but that kind of attitude taken outside of video games as well is a really, really negative emotion. Very destructive kind of hurt that people can feel. And I think that's part of the reason why Elden Ring became so toxic, over the past few months, um, is because people didn't know how to manage this feeling that they were experiencing, and that's why a lot of people at the end decided that the best course of action is simply to drop the game. But 1.06 is, and I've said it before, it's exactly what we needed when we needed it. Obviously we could have had it earlier, but if we were going to get a life-changing patch, arguably the best patch FromSoft has ever released, now is exactly when we needed it. Um, and so I can't say enough good things. There's obviously things that still need to be fixed. There's a lot of busted stuff, and I think at the end of the day, I don't really believe that Elden Ring is going to be balanced in the way that I want it to be, because I feel like that kind of thing needs to be a consideration much earlier on in development. Um, but it's on its way up. It's like there's so much improvement that comes from simply being able to press the invasion item and get an organic invasion anywhere in this big open world. Um, it makes invasions feel like a little anthology of short stories again, which is something that was missing. And when you just invade Academy Town Gate or whatever for 8 hours, getting maybe like 30 invasions over the course of the entire 8 hours you try to invade. Um,
I like that analogy that you used. A series of like short stories. Is that how you
mhm.
just generally like see invasions? It's just like little tidbits of like a bigger story that you yourself are trying like to build up. Explain.
I think there's a certain yeah, there's a certain extent to which that's definitely the way that I see it. That's at least, if not what I always see it as, it's definitely what I aspire, what I want invasions to be. Um, there are some nights when you're getting, especially over the past patch, you get nonstop activity with Wex or the with crack dust,
Hmm.
um, and it does feel like you're experiencing these invasions. Experiencing a series of invasions in a is this the right way?
I know
I
the
don't
right
actually
way. I'm
remember.
just gonna let you like ramble around and keep on
Ooh,
chatting.
all
Go
right.
ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so um yeah, so on a good night of invasions, I feel like it definitely does feel like a little series of short stories. You can stay on one character for a very long amount of time, like experimenting with different things that your character is capable of doing, and also meeting different people along the way. Like I think one thing that makes Invasion so special is because it's not a dedicated PvP mode. You're experiencing um, you're experiencing someone else's journey intersecting with your own. Um, and I think what makes invasions really special is when you acknowledge that that this is someone else's playthrough, and that you invading is part of your experience with the game as well, and that you're having this fleeting moment where you're meeting in unexpected places. And I think the beauty comes from that. Um,
That's
oh, the
honestly
children.
like a very beautiful sentiment. Never really thought of invasions like that. I always thought of them as just, trying to make their playthrough just like a little bit more interesting. They don't want to
Yeah,
just, get the trophy at the end of the day. They want, an adventure as they go across these very strange lands.
yeah.
But
And
that,
that's something that I think a lot of people would argue that earlier games might do better simply because invasions can last longer. But at the same time, um, I feel like the um, there's some people who prefer the invasions of Elden Ring the way that they play out, where it's fast, it's it's for lack of a better term, it gets kind of sweaty. You have to make a lot of split-second decisions very quickly. Um, and that's exhilarating to some people, and I think that's perfectly reasonable to think. And at the same time, I feel like the way that people are so like survivability is so high in Dark Souls 3, for instance, like that doesn't necessarily mean that the engagement's going to be interesting. Sometimes you get just long drawn out invasions where it's just a war of attrition, people camping in a small room, or you could be there for half an hour, chipping away at people, and then they get summoned and they get Estus back from killing random enemies, and it's not always a good thing for invasions to play out that way. Even though I end up preferring the way that things panned out in Dark Souls 3. But at the end of the day, I'm so excited that we have a new game to uh, do new things in. I played Dark Souls 3. I started kind of late, all things considered, but the fact that I've been in the game since 2017 and haven't really dropped it since, um, basically kind of transforms me from a newbie, like a newcomer who came to the game late, into one of the old guard. I felt like that's one of the most interesting and difficult to um, like it's difficult to put into words exactly, but the transition I experienced from being a newcomer into and what part of the old guard um, is interesting. I felt like it's uh, indicative of how much I put into the game, of how much of myself I put into the game as well. Uh, and whew,
You okay over there, Phil?
Ooh, yeah, sorry. I had to concentrate for a second. This person's putting me through the ringer.
Alright, same with this one over here. I'm gonna head back up the elevator, see if I can separate one.
Okay.
Nope, he didn't take the bait. He's gonna be coming on you in just a moment. I'll try and get him off
Okay.
you, but you gotta stay alive for like 30 seconds.
Ah, it's too many
Oh,
seconds.
oh, that's
Yes, there
Velka's
we go.
dead. In the meantime, do you have carrying retaliation on your build?
I do. Yes.
Okay, because we are gonna use that in just a moment.
Okay.
I'll pick up your sign at the very top because I know you don't have this site of grace.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
I am just using Cragblade on a lance, and it is gorgeous because you can trade for days.
I've been trying to use Cragblade on more weapons. The only thing I can't get past is that it doesn't, to me at least, it doesn't look like you have rocks on your sword. It looks like it's just covered in mud. And I feel like I have to make a character that's into mud before I can like put Cragblade on it. Because I feel like if I had this elegant looking character in white robes who's also using a sword that's just covered in mud, it just feels tonally off. I can't deal with it.
I get you. On the lance, it's not too bad, but if you put Cragblade on a lance, it does like enough poise damage to interrupt even like full bull goats with the talisman, or very nearly as much.
That's amazing. Yeah, because it's what is it, like 10% more poise damage?
Yeah. So if you got like a jumping R2 on a two-handed lance, you're getting through everything.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. There's just like two Ashes of War that will interrupt that no matter what. So, Bear Witness and the Flick, those will interrupt it no matter what. You could like bleed somebody out using Claw Flick, and they'll still be able to get that Ash of War off. It's honestly kind of scary.
Really.
Yeah. Power of the fingers.
Fingers are good. I have gotten
Hopefully eight of
summoned.
them. Yep, that's me.
Yeah. There we go. Excellent.
All right, I kind of lost my train of thought. So we were talking about I just the new renaissance of just invaders that are coming in. So
Yeah.
the other day I decided to go on Twitch, and I noticed that there are like a lot of brand new streamers. So I told like my moderators, hey, you find somebody, let me know because I'd love to have them for a chat. Get them involved with our community, and like
Hmm.
the amount of them is just nuts.
That's really cool actually, because early on, I tried to find coming from the small YouTube scene and arguably still on the small YouTube scene. Um, I tried to find new people posting on YouTube and try to give them a little shout out and share them around if I think they're doing something interesting. Um, and I did early on find a lot of new content creators for Elden Ring who aren't from the scene and who are just sort of like getting now into PvP content creation. But unfortunately, every single one of them, with very little variation, dropped the game eventually and stopped making content. And that's why I was in a difficult situation there where it's like I want to help people grow into this community, but a lot of people don't have the energy to because they just can't find activity or they're just frustrated with balance stuff. It's another reason why I think that we're going to see that like you said, a renaissance is a good way to put it of new people streaming, making content, sharing their thoughts and discussing the game. That's honestly like what I deeply deeply wish to see Elden Ring to grow into. Because despite the ways in which I might prefer Dark Souls 3, I think that Elden Ring is doing something special and does have a unique identity that it's trying to refine. And, being a game that is built from basically built as a uh, sort of a greatest hits album of FromSoft, having a game like that, you run the risk of the game not having a sense of unique identity. But over the course of these patches and after playing the game for a good amount of time, I think Elden Ring does have an identity that is very unique and really interesting to explore. And I would really want FromSoft to put in the time and make the game as good as it can be so that it can achieve that vision. Um, and that's 1.06 is literally the best thing, the biggest step forward towards that vision, because you can't have vision without activity.
Exactly.
Like you, yeah, and you can't have community without activity. Like at the end of the day, that's why activity is so important, and why I cared about it so much when I made that original video about solo host invasions.
And now I'm just like completely rescinding my opinion about solo host invasions because now, with the capabilities of crack, not only can invaders go anywhere from anywhere, but phantoms too. All they need to do is
Mm-hmm.
have an effigy in the area and they can be pulled in wherever. And the hosts don't even have to activate the effigy, it will always be there.
Really, the hosts don't have to activate the effigy.
They don't. But the thing is, with
That's
the effigy, you cannot have a password applied to it, otherwise it doesn't work. So it's only for
mhm.
random co-op, which is
Wow.
perfect. That's exactly what we want.
That is perfect. That's actually because that's something that people that FromSoft has sort of strayed more away from. With the introduction of the password system, it almost seems like co-op was focused just as much on playing with friends as it is playing with randoms. But playing with randoms is part of why this series took off to begin with. The fact that you didn't need to know people in order to play with them. Um, and to hear that they're actually putting some more focus into the random co-op side of this game, it's honestly really heartening. It's really heartening because that's the core of it. That it really is the core. It's that, just like Invasions, random co-op lets you enjoy the game with people you don't know in ways you don't expect, and that's the perfect recipe to create those little stories. Whether it's in co-op, you helped a random Kevin beat Loretta with like 1 HP left. That's a good story to tell. That's something you can keep in your memory banks. Or if you're playing an invasion and you kill a host in Phantom, and you have 1 hit point left, and that was super tense and memorable. Like that's another story you can tell. Like that's just what I want to see.
I've got one myself where for this challenge, you're only going to be allowed to use carrion retaliation and your Nightmane's Mist. Understand?
Okay, sounds
And
good.
when I say carrion retaliation, I don't want you like using a glintstone shard. We're going to be parrying
Yeah,
his blood magic only.
sounds good. That sounds fun.
All right. But yeah, I remember on PC because I had pre-ordered the game on PS4 for like a special like collector's edition. Knock on wood. And it came late, like very
Really, it
late.
came late.
Yeah, so I started off on PC, and at launch, like a lot of people, do you know what the hardest boss everybody was struggling on was?
Who?
It's a duo boss. Can you make a guess?
Oh, is it the beloved Godskin
Nope. Nope. Remember,
duo
people
boss?
people were complaining about Radon early. It's an early
Was it the
boss.
Crucible?
It,
Crucible Knight?
it
No, it
it's
was. Oh, it was the pumpkin heads.
nope. They complained about
No.
Crucible Knight and Misbegotten Leonin.
Oh yes, in that area. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I remember helping people out, and nobody knew about like playing the red mains or the fact that you could parry Crucible Knight or Misbegotten Leonin. So like my fondest memory is of doing those fights and helping my Kevin out by just him taking aggro and then me running into a corner and shooting a ballista at the one Crucible Knight that was left. and that's how we fought that boss because we were both out of Estus, and he had originally summoned in two people, so the boss had like more beefed up HP.
That's really nice to hear. It's just because that's when I got started in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 back in those days. Like I was a co-op fiend. I was a dedicated Sunbro. I mentioned it recently and somewhere else, but I uh, on the Dark Souls 2 subreddit, I still have my flare from when I was a Sunbro. I was the flare that says "Do it for the newbies." Um, so I would just love helping randoms out with their first playthroughs. There's something so heartening about that. And of all the games in the series, I feel like Dark Souls 2 deserves a little bit of help getting people introduced to it because people get turned off from it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Um, so like I took a lot of pride and enjoyment out of that. Um, so like it's just something that I feel very attached to, very fond of, is the random co-op. Even now, I don't really do it much. I do it every now and then, a little random co-op, but I think my enjoyment of the game is firmly in the PvP camp nowadays.
While you're
Um,
rolling
but
all the blood boons, you can pair that with carry and retaliation. In fact, you can even pair this
that's
one.
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I
See,
need to get better at it. I actually never carry and retaliated it, so
tell you what, I'm
I'm
gonna
trying
sit
to
in the
learn it.
corner and I'll watch you for a moment. You're gonna be
Okay,
my Bubba.
I'll be your Bubba.
There we
Well, that
go.
works. We got a little partial on it, but ah,
I still don't know whether or not like this mog is bugged or not because you can't put any status on him. But then when you're fighting like Lord of Blood, you can put everything on him.
is it? I wonder if it's a situation where oh shit, damn. I wonder if it's a situation where he's like a sort of supposed to be like a phantom version of the boss, even though he doesn't look like a phantom. But I know with Phantom Godfrey and Phantom Loretta, I think they're immune to status effects.
They are. Yeah,
Um,
the only thing that you
yeah.
can do to them is Night Maidens and God Slaying capabilities. So
Hmm.
anything with like Black Flame Blade, Black Flame Ball, uh, all the Godskin stuff.
Hmm.
That'll work, but you can't like get them poisoned and whatnot. The weirdest thing I find is like Crucible Knight is immune to Scarlet Rot, but you can poison
Hmm.
him.
That is super weird.
Meanwhile, like Melania, Goddess of Rot, you can rot her.
That's extremely funny.
Yeah, she's got like the
I'm sure all the Rot Breath fans are just loving that.
no. She's got the highest rot defense in the game. It's like 4,500. Just for reference, doing a full shot of rot breath will do about 900. So you have to do like 5 shots of rot breath.
Yeah, I mean that I'm under pressure from Melania. I'm sure that is difficult. Though, of course, if you probably could, do Mimic Tier or have a summon help out with that, but that's no joke still.
Yeah.
I found myself thinking recently, it's not related to what we were just talking about. I apologize for that. But one thing I've been thinking about recently when we were talking about uh, Elden Ring having an identity and um, accepting that it's different from Dark Souls 3, and that while there's some things I prefer about Dark Souls 3, I respect about Elden Ring, the stuff that it does differently. Speaking on that, I do. I think one of the sadder parts about um, the way that Elden Ring's launch played out is that with the way that the game has taken off in such a huge way, and that we have so many new people joining the community, um, I feel like there's going to be very few of them that go back to see this kind of stuff was made in Dark Souls 3. And I think that's the only part of it that still feels sad to me. Um, how many new people are going to go back and watch Schwa Akari? How many new people are going to go back and like learn from Mr. Silly Dog's videos? You know, because a lot of those lessons that we talked about, a lot of Amish's videos, for instance, like that's all fundamentals. That's all stuff that's going to apply to Elden Ring just as much as it applies to Dark Souls 3. But it's been said now but because it's been framed as this is a Dark Souls 3 video about Dark Souls 3 and does not apply to Elden Ring, a lot of people are never going to see it, and I think that's unfortunate. And that's part of the reason why I talked about in one of my more recent videos that I'm coming to terms with being a part of the old guard, not being at the forefront, the cutting edge of Elden Ring. I still plan to make content for it, and whenever I have the time. But I think that my heart and my history is in Dark Souls 3, and I'm going to love Elden Ring with every bit I can. But a lot of the stuff that I've made that forms my foundation is rooted in a game that people aren't going to look into very much after Elden Ring, unfortunately. I think a lot of people are going to be introduced to the Souls series through Elden Ring, but I don't think it's going to be to the extent where they'll be like, yeah, I want to learn about Dark Souls 3 PvP because for a lot of people, like, why would you play Dark Souls 3 PvP when you have Elden Ring, which is the newer game. It made all these various improvements, and a bigger game, more areas, more weapons, spells. Uh, in much the same way that, going back to my Smash Brothers roots, like a lot of people might argue, like, why would you play Super Smash Brothers Melee when there's Super Smash Brothers Ultimate? It's a bigger, better, arguably. But a lot of people are just going to be lifers. They're going to have their foundation built into the older titles. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't really think that it necessarily has to be a sad thing. Um, I just hope that there are some people that find curiosity about the Souls series and about Dark Souls 3 in specific, through their experience in Elden Ring. That would make me happy more than anything else. This is a pretty funny little situation we found ourselves in.
We have become the Pontiff Ladder Campers.
Now, one thing I'm curious about, actually, just looking at the situation, is does this work on players? Like, does
It
Nightmane
does.
Smith do?
It does. The
Wow.
better one is, of course, volcano pots.
Yeah, I enjoy those.
But like next time you're going up a ladder, walk into your own Night Maiden's Mist, and you'll see yourself falling off. See?
That's hysterical.
All right, I'm gonna go put him out of his misery. Oh shit! No!
Oh God, you're gonna put you out of your misery.
Verticality belongs only to the proper saint. I released a video. I think it was back in 2021. About my whole thought process on invasions, and it could really be said about any
Mhm.
of the games. I titled it the hobbyist playstyle, coming in with the idea of trying to not really accomplish much in terms of like win or loss, but of achieving something intrinsic.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people came from DS3 looking at ER as if to say, oh yeah, it's a new game. I gotta prove myself. I gotta go
Right.
win all the PvP. So when I see a lot of like new invaders, a lot of times it's a dime a dozen build. So like I personally have no problem fighting like power stance Trinas, but for a lot of people it's gonna be their bread and butter because hey, it's good, it does a lot of damage, and we don't have to really worry too much about poise because you're putting people to sleep.
Mhm.
Great in a 1v1, but it lacks like the stopping power of like say Goddard's DS3, where it's like
Mhm.
okay, you can like get little 1v1s with it, but when you're stuck with like status here in ER, you've got to be consistent with it. So what is your just general take on that? A lot of the invaders just not trying to develop their playstyle, just trying to look for wins.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and it's a situation that I've observed too. First thing I want to say is that the hobbyist playstyle is one of my favorite videos in Dark Souls 3. I think you did a really good job on that one. It's something that resonated with me as well. And with respect to the new players, I think one thing that we have to acknowledge as lifers um, is the new player experience in Elden Ring. It really is, in many ways, the hardest game to get into Invasions. Um, unless you do the things like stack advantages to the point where it becomes unfair for the person that you're fighting. Um, not only is it you can only invade co-op groups, but there are specific things in the game that are unbalanced to a pretty egregious extent. And some would argue that's part of the charm, but I think also it just makes things a lot more difficult for new players who find themselves struggling to win. Oh, we got Velka again. Oh,
Belka's quite upset with me. I'll pop a tartar's tongue for him. We'll finish this thought in a moment. I know you're focused on your game.
yeah.
Oh God, heal up, my dude. Heal up, my dude. God, I kind of feel like Bob right now. Dude, you've got like no HP. Please heal up.
Oh, Bob. Yeah, I remember when he used to do that. That was the class act right there.
The fact that I was able to land that, I am so sorry. Uh-oh. He's so brave.
The brave one. I respect the lore name as well. The Dark Souls 1 fan.
Yep. Oh, that. I'm sorry. It's just like it's like hitting a puppy right now. I can't. I'm honestly like hoping they beat you up just so that they can point me down at the end.
Yeah.
The Dashing Saint does not condone ganking. However, he does find it quite funny. All right. He should have.
But
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was just trying to while we have the we're doing the funny gang situation, so I have a little bit of mental pressure eased up. Um, yeah, so the hobbyist playstyle is a video that I really enjoy because I think it strikes at something. And invasions are a lot harder for newbies than they were back in the day. Even going back to footage from 2016, like there wasn't much you needed to know to win invasions back then. That wasn't just like don't whiff your R1 attacks, you know. And in this game, you can land your R1 attacks fine, but but still lose because there's a guy with who's overleveled as hell who just one shot you. GG's, GG's Velka. Um, and thankfully, that's slowly being alleviated a little bit with the nerfs to the most popular weapons in the game, Rivers of Blood, and what else? It was Stars of Ruin also got nerfed. Big plus in my opinion. I think that spell was borked beyond belief. Um, so yeah, I think the game is slowly coming into its own in that respect. But I think part of the reason why we don't see a lot of unique builds is that it is so hard to succeed in any situation, even when you have good stuff. Sometimes you just get boned. Oh, I'm sorry. I used the wrong spell. That's my
Oh,
bad.
good. With the both of us, he's got a fair bit of HP. Also, I just realized I'm blasting music, so that's gonna definitely overshadow. I'm just gonna bring down the music a bit. There we go. Like on PS4, I have a meta quality build, which it isn't bad. It's just to make meta builds somewhat work right now, you either have to be using Shard of Alexander, which I'm really against using that in invasions. It's like really good, and especially
Yeah,
at
it
high
is really
levels,
good.
it just like stacks like 20% more additional damage. So I got no complaints.
On your most powerful attack as well.
Yeah.
That's the kicker for me. I think one of the things that Elden Ring is going to have to wrestle with in the coming patches, especially, is trying to address the ways in which the game has been designed to focus so specifically on Ashes of War. Even arguably more so than spells, even though spells are extremely good. Like Ashes of War in particular, much like the way that Dark Souls 3 was with weapon arts. I feel like a lot of weapon arts simply were basically spells but put on weapons and made a lot better. Um, so yeah, it's that's something that Elden Ring is going to have to wrestle with a little bit, and I expect it will improve perhaps in the future. But they're going to have to do some number crunching. They're going to have to get back down to basics and like work on the foundational elements of the game. I think if they're going to ever address that. Um, and there's a certain extent to which I'm trying to temper my expectations, and I also want to give FromSoft the ability to explore what they want to explore and give the game its own identity, even if it's not a decision I always agree with. Because at the end of the day, Dark Souls 3 still exists, and the other games still exist. And if Elden Ring PvP doesn't end up in the exact place I want it to, I'm still going to have enjoyed my time with it. I think as long as the foundational elements are in there, as long as there's activity, as long as there are soul levels or rune levels that you can be at where you're not going to one shot people or be one shot, as long as those basic components are there, I think there's going to be enjoyment to be had. Just probably not in the same exact way as people have come to expect. Um, and that's hard for people to come to terms with. And I respect people who prefer to just go back to Dark Souls 3 and play a game that they where the rules make more sense to them. Folks like Darkborn, for instance, have been releasing more Dark Souls 3 content lately, showing the ways in which they have a mastery of Dark Souls 3 and also an appreciation for it. And I think that's important. It can't just be that you know the game; it has to be that you enjoy it. As long as you're having fun and enjoying yourself, I think that's the most important thing. Um, Community and you know having the game play out in the way that you want it to, like that's icing on the cake at the end of the day. Damn. and
I'll
and
finish off
I think
Mog.
that yeah, I think I will. I'm very positive about the game right now, and I think it's going to take a lot to take that away from me. Because when you've been down in the shit for months on end, to see daylight alone is you can't take that away from me. That's exactly what I need. Um, so yeah, I mean, kudos to FromSoft. I think that if they continue this trend, they're going to be in a really good place. But even if my suspicions are correct and this is going to be like their biggest patch before they release DLC, um, even if that suspicion is correct, I'm still going to be pretty happy because they added the most important thing, which was activity.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna give you false hope, but we have uh I can't really like give a source on this,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to grassroots trust me on this, we're gonna hear news in November for a December DLC.
Ooh, that would be nice. I mean, I'm sure that would go down really well having December DLC. Like that's just a little Christmas time gift from FromSoft.
The thing is, though, we don't know what the DLC will be. It could be just, oh, we're gonna finally open up the arenas. Everybody go enjoy your
Mm-hmm.
brawls Christmas. Or it could
Yeah.
be, we're gonna bring you to the Sea of Fog, which there's been quite a few hints about that section of the map.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be like off of just east of Liurnia, there's like a landmass that exists in game but doesn't have anything there. So what we think is it's going to be like a Trina Mikola Hive slash Sleep and Deathblight DLC.
Ooh, that would be cool. Yeah, it's always interesting uh, thinking about what they could potentially do with the DLC. They pretty much universally knocked it out of the park in terms of DLC, so I'm sure it's just going to be more Elden Ring, but even better, I assume. And especially if it comes with patches, I think that could be a game changing kind of situation. This game is not wanting for content, but I will certainly not decline it. I think it can only go up. I think when we add more FromSoft content, it's really gonna. And I can't wait to see what they add in terms of weaponry and spells and such as well. Like there's so much room they could explore with the groundwork that they've built.
I honestly just can't wait. I'm tapering my
Mm-hmm.
expectations, but ever since fucking like DS1, the Artorias of the Abyss expansion, I've been hopeful with their
Yeah.
DLCs. The one time they let me down, Ashes of Ariandel. That DLC was too tiny. They introduced a lot of stuff that feels Elden Ring esque, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just it's one small map.
Yeah. It was that one was pretty small.
I
I didn't feel that specific pain because I bought it all together as the Fire Fates edition. But I know I've gone back and looked at all the responses and the way that people felt about the DLC when it dropped. I can't like I it would be so difficult for me to wrestle with those emotions because it's like it's more Dark Souls 3 and I love Dark Souls 3, but it's also a very small amount of extra Dark Souls 3.
yeah.
I think I would be pretty annoyed about that.
We are gonna end off dueling. I am currently at Main Academy Gate. If you want to drop your red sign, we'll be doing just a couple of
Absolutely.
fights. Do you have any qualms with 1.06? Like just stuff that
Um,
they maybe over nerfed, maybe stuff that they adjusted. Just for example, like Stars of
It's
Ruin.
difficult to say. I don't know if I have any specific complaints at all. I think every change that I can think of has been pretty spectacular. And one thing that we haven't talked about so far, but that I think deserves some addressing is the way that they buffed great swords, curved great swords, great axes, and great hammers. I think it was increase the speed of their R2s, decrease recovery. I think that's all stuff that while that kind of change might sometimes annoy me in a game like Dark Souls 3, where I feel like whiff punishing is so core to the gameplay loop, where I think removing recovery from weapons can be kind of annoying sometimes. But the way that they've done it in Elden Ring is pretty much right in tune with the game balance. I think that um, the only way those kinds of weapons are gonna have an edge in this kind of game where a single mistake can cost you 70% of your HP uh, is reducing recovery, and so people feel more comfortable throwing attacks out. I think that also gives the game a little bit more of a high intensity, back and forth. People not being afraid of swinging their weapons. I think that can be argued to be a pretty big improvement, especially for these weapon classes that deserve the love.
I'll give you just like a little break. Because I know, like, with a player like you need just like a moment to properly address the question. So, as we fight, I won't like just bug you.
Yeah, I love so right now you have the equip load physic, correct?
Yep.
That's gonna be a very big aspect of the new meta, I think. I guess my one concern would be the adjustments to light roll. Um, I can see that becoming an issue potentially, but I also think that the benefits of poise are. Oh, I'm sorry, I healed. Is that all right?
I don't mind.
Okay. We can make it an Estus duel. I find those more fun to begin with, anyways.
Okay, how many
Um,
yellow flasks do you got?
I got four red. I just used one and two blue.
Oh, Fisher. Nope.
Oh, Fisher.
Oh, no, you fucking don't. No, you do not get to pull the prime technique on me.
Oh, I don't have enough poise for that. Ooh,
I don't think anybody's got enough poise for that.
yeah,
Ooh, a little too soon.
ooh.
Excuse me, who taught you to free aim? Certainly wasn't me.
It's actually funny. I found that free aiming is one of those things that I find like inherently fun in these games. It's like a little mini game you get to play in the middle of combat. Uh, and that's why I actually don't mind free aim crossbow in Dark Souls 3. I actually find it one of the most fun things you can do. Um, it's a kind of a shame that they adjusted it the way they did in Elden Ring. I think that the crossbow free aim in particular is very strange. I haven't made the adjustment yet.
Did you just show me your back so that you could get me stuck in a backstab animation? You cheeky fuck.
I'm a cheeky fuck. What can I say?
Okay,
I
okay,
did it
okay.
twice in a row
Here you
too.
go. Get into your Night Maidens. Oh, you like gravity magic, do you? You still haven't
I
frostbitten
do.
me. There we go. That's the
There we
first
go.
time you frostbited me this entire fight. Oh no! I'm used to playing this build with fat roll, so this is going to be interesting. Ooh, the Richard backstep technique. I like it. Surprise Ichimonji. Not going for any parries. I'm disappointed. Do you not think you're going to land them? Are you thinking I'm going to walk into a backstab?
Doing a little shield poke. It's a little cheeky shield poke from the to the shield poke king. I still remember that Dark Souls 3 build of yours.
Oh God, my uh, invisible magic shield one.
Yeah, exactly that one.
Okay,
That
so
that's the cheekiest of the cheeky builds, I think.
funny story actually. So I was on PC the other day on the private servers, and I'm just trying to find a way to connect with the player base that's still left with DS3. And somebody thought I was hacking, and so put a script on me
Really?
to instant kill me because we're not getting any chip damage with that Corvian.
That's amazing.
Gonna have to pull up the book of matches.
Oof.
Swap on ya. Uh-oh. Oh, it's gonna be close.
Amazing.
No.
GG's.
I even
What a
predicted the
fight.
jumping attack too. Oh.
That was a good little counter right there. I like that. That was cheeky.
Okay. Patch 10.06, you already said like you're really like satisfied with it. Weapons and whatnot, you're
I'm
good.
actually excited. One thing I am actually excited about, want to make some light roll builds. I didn't expect that. I don't usually like light roll, but uh, yeah, it's one thing I'll say about light roll that I find interesting is the way that it's different in this game compared to Dark Souls 3. because in Dark Souls 3 they had a system called roll poise, and roll poise basically lets you withstand a roll catch and not get hit stunned. But in this game, poise is standardized. It doesn't matter what kind of animation you're in, unless you're in a hyper armor animation. And rolls don't get hyper armor as far as I'm aware of. So uh, you can no longer randomly or semi randomly, seemingly randomly avoid getting stunned by a roll catch. So basically, the benefits of whatever poise you have are you always have them, um, even if you're whether or not you're rolling. So hypothetically, you could make a light roll build that has a little bit of poise on it, which I think is kind of a promising, if potentially unbalanced, but promising little exploration, a little mechanical difference that invaders can use in their favor if they're running a light roll build in this game. Um, like being able to stack 31, 41, maybe even 61 poise on a light roll build at higher levels.
I've actually seen an invader do that. They rock the night chest, like the full knight armor at 150,
Mm-hmm.
and they're light rolling,
Wow,
and it just like works wonderfully.
that's amazing. Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yep. Oh, nice try.
Oh,
I swapped to one-handed because I realized I was going to kill you.
oh yeah. Ruin's great sword does do that.
Yep. Fuck out of FP. No.
You'll yoink him.
Yep. I have to like organize my build to fight you.
Ooh, thought I could jump it. I was being spicy. I actually saw that spell for the first time the other day. I actually have not seen people use that very much.
Good save.
I have to say, I really love how mages feel in this game. It definitely feels like you have so much freedom to be creative.
I like to agree with that. Before my build got corrupted, I had a one, a RO45 that, oh, nearly had you there. A
Ooh, nice.
RO45 that had 30 mind and just 30 int.
Ooh,
Sorry,
nice.
30 mind and 30 vigor. That's it. And the build itself was all about like using consumables and craftables, and it worked really well. In fact, it worked so well, I got hate mail from a power stance Naginaga, uh,
Really?
boil prawn jack duelist.
That's amazing.
He called my build cancer, which, as you know, as an invader, is the best thing you can ever tell someone.
That
Trying
is
to
that is pretty.
glintstone pebble me with a chamois.
Got that chamois. I am interested to experiment with the new Glintstone Pebble. Like of all the things that change, I really appreciate that because I feel like they could make it a more interesting weapon art or Ash of War. The way that it was basically just like a brain dead true combo was kind of it didn't feel in line with the rest of the attacks in the game. Do you have any other weapons? Ooh, I got
Ooh.
this baby right here. I don't
Uh,
have any FP, damn it.
got anything left?
I am. Oh, I got some red juice. I thought I was out, but no, I just out of blue. Ooh, I thought I'd be able to use my block frames there.
Nope, they start very late on that. I made this build just as I was getting like comfortable with PvP, so I don't have like everything that I would normally use against you.
Oh yeah.
I just walked into that. There we go. There you have block frames.
So I'm pretty sure if I block that thing, I'm gonna get guard broken to
I
shit.
remember when we were discussing about, getting you onto the podcast, and you're like, oh, I haven't played all that much. Meanwhile, here I
Yeah,
am sitting at like nearly 2K hours because of double invasions, and you're whooping my ass with a fucking light roll build.
I. Oh, smart. Well, now uh, gotta amp it up. I gotta do something fancy. What do I got?
You caught me on my roll, you cheeky fuck. GG's fell.
GG's. Good fight.
Good fight. All right, I think that just nearly wraps it up. Do you got any questions for me before we end?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out a quick question because I didn't really get a chance to talk about it before that much. But um, how much were you involved in the planning of the charity event that Stowe put together? And I wanted to also use this opportunity to thank you for you know you fucking slaved away for all these streams raising the money for the kids, and I think that how much money we were able to raise really makes me proud of this community, and I wanted to like get your thoughts and your experience with it.
Well, Stowe had a bit of a medical emergency. I'm not going to go too much into details of personal information,
Mm-hmm.
but essentially he was out of it for like 3 weeks prior to the event. So we had to make do with what we had. So at the beginning, we had like maybe four streamers in the Discord, maybe four, maybe six. It was
Mm-hmm.
me, Danga JM, Saint Riot, Pincognito, Raf, and I'm trying to remember who the other one is. Rizio. Rizio.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Stowe, and Stowe said that he was under the weather. I'm just looking for your sign as well.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Let me put it down. Just completely blank there.
So Stowe was under the weather, and he said, "I'm not even sure we can still manage to do the event." I'm like, let me go talk to a couple people. So I started reaching out to everybody who had done like Cathedral Day events, and sure
Mm-hmm.
enough, a lot of people were like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'm definitely down to help out Stowe. That'd be awesome." So, well, Stowe was recovering. I was just getting like people together, just reaching out to anybody who I could, who I knew would be like trustworthy for the event. Because after Cathedral Day, it's like, okay, I know how to do this event better now. So I would
Yeah.
say my whole participation in that event is a write off. I'd say I did maybe 5% of the work. Stowe is the one who made the event possible.
Still,
Him.
though, I think you definitely were helpful in a really important critical time of the planning process. I think that's definitely worth a lot of kudos.
I'll take my brownie points later down the line. But right now, I'm just happy we were able to do a lot for the kids.
Yeah.
Interesting. I couldn't actually roll during that animation.
Really?
Yeah,
I wonder if it ate your input because you were in lava.
maybe.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
careful. That's a nasty pseudo. This is a iteration of the setup that I forget what G13 came up with.
Oh, the Partizan.
Except this time,
I miss G13.
I think he's
Uh,
still with us at the very least, just like Silly. It's just
yeah, yeah. I have faith that we'll see him again somewhere on this channel someday. But yeah, that's when I think about. Um, I did not realize I had a hitbox. That's amazing. Cheeky. I like it.
ah, look who's calling the kettle black.
Ah, stamina.
But yeah, it was all Stowe. Narcolep for essentially just face fucking all the code needed to get into Slugbot.
Yeah.
Uh uh uh.
Oh, it's not a backstab.
Nope. Good read.
Ah, just slightly mistimed.
Oh shit! No!
Oh no. Ah.
It's not over yet. I can't even jump.
But you can't jump when you're over. I guess that makes sense if you're over encumbered. Oof.
Joke's on you.
No. Wonderful.
You decided to take mercy. I will remember this day, and I took advantage of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all Stowe, Narcolep, Saint Riot, Raph, and just some people that went like really crazy with donations. There was Anonymous, who I can either confirm or deny was me, who put down 4K, which was
Oh my
nice.
gosh.
Yeah. Stowe's
That's
work
insane.
will meet him for like $7,998. I think it's just like off by like 69 cents compared to like the full 8K, which everybody
Hmm.
had a laugh at. But I'll link a video into the podcast video where I'll put Stowe's little thank you video that he put up on his YouTube.
Oh,
He
nice. I
explained
didn't
it in a
realize you did that.
yeah, he also did like a stream afterwards, but he trimmed it up a bit. But yeah, it's been lovely to have you on, Phil. Now, for our last fight, loser buys coffee.
Ah, all right.
I take medium 4x4.
Now, do you want that in the mail or
We'll work something out.
we'll work something out?
Yeah. All right. As per old dueling tradition, The match will start as soon as when the explosive stone hits the ground, okay?
All right.
You go put yourself on the other corner.
Okay.
I will strip away my crimson tears. So I'm just using cerulean flasks, and I expect you to do the
Okay.
same. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
3,
Take that off my
2,
bar.
1. All right, let's go.
And the games begin.
Ooh, nearly.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah, you're fishing. Are you on like a PS4 or PS5?
I am on a PS5, but I'm playing
That's.
a PS4. I'm playing a PS4 copy of the game, but I'm on a PS5. Oof. GG's.
I'll be taking my
The
medium
copy's
4
on
by 4.
me.
Yep. GG's, Phil. It has
GG's.
been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you again for
It has
joining
been
me.
wonderful being on, and thank you so much for having me.
Once again, I'm the Dashing Saint. This has been Red Man Cafe.
And just on time, I can no longer hear you,
Well, at least I still got Phil's
as
audio.
if we're having enough difficulties.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me, Phil. It has been a pleasure, and this has been Red Man Cafe. I've been your host, Dashing, and thank you, Philosophicity, for joining me. Until next time.